there, my name is Kay Byfield, and this is your ArtSpeaks Studio moment from ArtSpeaks Studio in Dallas, Texas. And today we're going to talk about how exhibitions are judged. I just returned from the Western Federation of Watercolor Societies exhibition in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I went there because one of my pieces had been selected to be included in the show, and I wanted to see all the work that was being exhibited. And it was a terrific show. And so today I would like to talk about the show and about how the judge-juror created the show. This particular exhibition is a regional competitive show of works by members of 11 water media societies, including the one that I belong to, which is the Southwestern Watercolor Society, which is based in Dallas. That means that there were more than 4,000 people across the West who were qualified to enter. For this show, there were 750 entries, and the juror, Ian Stewart, selected 125 of them to hang. The show was held at Expo New Mexico Fine Arts Gallery, and the gallery has 6 rooms. Almost all of the award winners were hung in the first gallery. Beyond those rooms were the other paintings that the juror had selected for exhibit. One thing I need to tell you is that an exhibition juror chooses what is shown in the show. The juror selects what the awards will be. In this case, the juror and the judge were both the same person, Ian Stewart. My painting didn't win an award, but I was thrilled to have the work shown along with all the other wonderful pieces. In addition to looking at all the works during the opening reception, I went back and made this film at another time when the gallery was less crowded. So the way that the works are selected for a show, in most cases, is that the juror is sent digital images of all the paintings that have been entered in the show. And then the juror goes through those digital entries and looks at them, and typically will put them into 3 categories, either no, yes, or maybe, and keeps going through that, the pile of yeses and maybes, until they've narrowed it down to the number of entries that the show committee has specified. In this case, there was enough room to hang 125 pieces. Here's what the juror for this show, Ian Stewart, said about his process.
I've juried many shows and through the pandemic, many online. But the thing that I always said before that was the time I spent with the paintings at home electronically is kind of like Facebook friends. And then when you actually get to come to the exhibition, you meet the paintings. And then it becomes real and you understand the scale and all the nuance and everything. It changes. So the last couple of years I've juried some shows and it's the same image. I'll talk about how I do that. But I just wanted to just take a moment and just say how happy I am to be here in person and see the paintings and see the artists and meet you all. So thank you.
Once the paintings arrive physically at the gallery before they are hung for the show, the judge comes to see them and walks through the show looking at all the paintings to decide which ones should get the awards. Sometimes the paintings look better than they did in the pictures that the juror went through. Sometimes they don't look as good. It's up to the judge to decide which ones really stand out in their opinion in order to be good enough to win awards. Artists always wonder, how did the juror and the judge come to their conclusions? And everyone is different, of course, but in general, they are usually accomplished artists themselves that have looked at a lot of artwork, and their goal is to create a show that really demonstrates the kind of pieces that were entered. with a broad selection of work, a lot of different subject matter, a lot of diversity in the way that the paint is applied and composition and so forth. Every juror is going to make different selections, and in fact, I've heard some of them say that they might make even different selections on a different day than the day that they actually chose the show. Here's what Ian Stewart had to say about his process.
Paintings has a lot to do with my architectural background and the way I look at design. I didn't go to a traditional art school. So I'm really thinking about spatial relationships and shape, form, things that you might hear architects speak about. But ultimately, I think it comes down to the way I look at composition is it in tune? Is it in balance? And does it resolve itself? And these might be adjectives that you're not used to hearing people talking about when talking about artwork. Of course, technical proficiency, composition, subject matter. I really am looking for your unique voice, and that's very special to me. But ultimately, I think it comes down to what's the narrative. You know, you can have a technically extremely fine painting that could be, you know, a little bit dull as far as soul goes. But if it's got a story, or if there's a lot of you in it, then that tends to catch my eye, and that's what I ultimately look for. Is what is the story. Now, I may make that up myself, but I think that's what paintings are supposed to do. They're supposed to ask a question and engage the viewer. You shouldn't be able to look and understand the story right away and move on. You want a painting that's going to hold you, and then you look at it and you find yourself coming back to it again and again.
As you can see, composition, paint quality, and the meaning of the artwork were very important to Ian Stewart as he made his considerations. It was really a thrill for me to see the show, to hear what he had to say, and to be in the company of the other artists. I'm so glad I went. I think I learned a lot, and I hope some of this information is beneficial to you. The one thing you need to remember is submit images. If you enter a show, submit images that accurately reflect what your painting looks like. And then make sure that the painting, when it arrives at the show, if it's selected to hang, that it is up to the quality that's necessary to be in the show, and that it isn't any different than what the image showed. If you do that, you may be able to have some of your work selected to hang in these kinds of shows, depending on the level of the competition and the taste of the juror. I hope that this whole idea has piqued your interest. You will consider entering some shows, and I hope that you will find yourself with your paintings hanging in those shows. In the meantime, I wish you happy painting. Bye.